Hey guys, JXX21 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing and comparing the Traxxas low center of gravity chassis to the old higher center of gravity chassis. Now right here I have the higher center of gravity chassis. This is the chassis that you will find on the 4x4 RTR, and it's a pretty good chassis. It's a good chassis to use, but if you own a Slash with this chassis, you know it is fairly easy to flip over, especially if your suspension isn't tuned right. Now, this chassis, it sits fairly high up in the air. It puts your electronics high. And then another downfall is that if you're going to jump, your front and rear diff are the lowest parts to the ground, so they're going to be hitting. So it's all going to go into your diffs. The good thing about having this chassis is your electrical components are up high, so if you do change out your system to a non-waterproof system, then you can splash through some puddles and you'll be okay because it is taller. But if you don't have waterproof electronics, I wouldn't recommend it. But this chassis is a pretty good chassis. It does its job. Out of the box, it's what you get with the RTR. You get this with the Platinum, the Ultimate, basically every other Slash 4x4 except for the RTR. And that doesn't include Nitros. The Nitros have an aluminum chassis. Now, with the LCG chassis, it puts a lot of things down lower to the ground. So if you're gonna race with the Slash, which I wouldn't really recommend, you would probably want to look at this chassis. If you get your suspension right with this, it is a very nice chassis. I have Proline power strokes in all four corners, so those are a nice shock, but filling them up can be a pain in the ass. I have RPM bumpers on this. But with this chassis, it puts a lot of things lower to the ground. So on the stock chassis, your servo is standing upright. On this chassis, it's laid down. It has a different receiver box, which is kind of notable. But it does put the ESC lower, and it doesn't have like a drive shaft support guard thing. Like on this chassis, it has this, which is where the drive shaft goes through. And that rocks can get caught in there, and that's why this is so eaten up and silver instead of the blue that it should be. But you can't run the old battery strap in the LCG chassis. It has this design where you press this tab down and then you pull it out. You can use the rear portion of the old battery strap, I believe. But I'm not too sure, so don't take my word for it. But this chassis is a nice chassis. It actually puts the rear diff higher than the bottom of the chassis, so when you jump and you completely bottom out, your rear diff is still higher than the chassis. So that's a nice feature. Also, the bottom of the chassis primarily is all flat. So if you're going to be bashing, it's a good chassis to have, because with this old chassis, it has the rear diff is sticking down, so you could get caught on that on rocks and high center. Now, this chassis, as long as you keep your speed up, you shouldn't get high centered, but it will glide over all the unevenness in the terrain. As you can see, mine's quite scratched up. And RPM actually makes a, I guess you could say, bulkhead mount bell crank thing. I'm not sure what it's called, but I'll just go with the bulkhead for now. So RPM makes a bulkhead for this that covers up these two holes, and it also is solidified like until there, so you won't have that gap. So if you're running in like gravel or rocky terrain where gravel will get in your steering bell cranks, you might want to look into that. I know I'm probably going to get it. But this chassis, you can't get RPM like front and rear diff or bulkheads, whatever you want to call them. The Nerf bars are different on these two chassis. These are more of a rectangle, I guess you would say. So you have that versus that. So these are a lot softer, I would say, than these. These are stiffer, and RPM does make Nerf bars for the LCG chassis. So overall, if you buy the Slash 4x4, get the LCG chassis. That is the RTR. With all the other Slashes, it comes with the LCG chassis. Even the audio with the TSM, which is Traxxas Stability Management. That stuff is amazing. Pacific Coast Hobbies has the 2-wheel drive and the 4-wheel drive with that chassis. So if you're interested in those, Pacific Coast Hobbies, located on PCH, does have those in stock. Now, with the stock shocks on this, you can get it dialed in and it performs really nice. But anyways, this chassis, it's a lot more stable. You'll find that you won't have to run and flip your truck over nearly as much as this. This is primarily my dad's truck, and so yeah. But we were at down by if you live in San Pedro, there's a crafted place. It's in like a warehouse. It's down by the port, and it outside of the crafted, like, there's a dirt lot there that has like a kind of track. It's not really a track because someone with a Jeep or something went in there and tore it up, and Los Angeles is bearing like concrete and stuff there, but they have a section where you can drive your crawlers and all that stuff, essentially, because of all the concrete that's there. But we took this there, and it did extremely well. With this chassis, it used to jump. When you would jump it, it would jump with a nose-up attitude. With this chassis, it still does that. Maybe it's because of the body, I don't know. But it does tend to level itself out a lot more. So, that's a bonus of this chassis. Also, what did I want to say? Oh yeah, the gear cover. With the old one, I used to have trouble. Like, it would go in here somehow, and it would sometimes stick up, and dirt would get in there and destroy your gears. But with this one, you don't really have to worry about it lining up anywhere. So you just kind of set it on and tighten the screw. Also, the wire hold down is a lot nicer on the LCG chassis. It does hold the wires, because on this chassis, the wire hold down would sometimes let the wires slip out, so they would kind of be hanging around. But this does go all the way down to the chassis. So that's a nice feature of this. Also, with this chassis, you can't put sway bars, but with the LCG, you can put the sway bars. Also, the RPM rear bumper, you can use sway bars with that. And in the front, you can put your sway bars down over here, and they hook up to that hole right there. So that about wraps it up for this video. If you have $50, You can find them on eBay and Amazon and places like that. So the LCG chassis is about 50 bucks. I would definitely recommend picking it up. It's an awesome chassis. So that wraps it up for this video, and have a good one.